that Rey and Kylo Ren are destined for one final big lightsaber duel battle in Star Wars Episode 9 later this year. But the question is, does it have to be just one? What if Rey and Kylo Ren have more than one lightsaber duel in the movie? We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Welcome back, everybody. Happy Thursday. It is the Resistance Broadcast. I'm John Hoey. That's James Bainey. That's Lacey Gillerin. We are here to talk Star Wars with you. It is our Thursday show, which means the Will of the Force is back. After a brief holiday break, we have about 6 or so topics to get into. A lot of good ones, in my opinion. But we'll see what James has to say about that. Sometimes he's like, these were easy. These were hard. I don't know. But then we have that discussion. Rey and Kylo Ren. How many lightsaber duels? We'll find out. And, of course, your tweets and Resistance transmissions might be a similar topic. But it's always exciting to get into those, seeing if Lacey gets passionate, laughs, cries. Who knows? She's wearing a hood today, so all bets are off. Guys, how you doing?
I'm so cool today.
Lacey, how much are you being paid to be in the Beats commercial?
So, quick story. I put this hood on and I thought I looked cool, so I left it on.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And that's how I choose what I wear every day, guys.
Yeah, so for those of you listening on our audio version, Lacey is wearing a hooded sweatshirt. I think it's a Lucasfilm sweatshirt.
It is.
And she thinks that's really cool. It is. And she has her headphones over her hood. So she's listening to us through the fabric of her hood. And James is wearing a nice striped t-shirt. And that's pretty much where we're at. So,
I look so cool right now.
Yeah. Guys, what do you say we find out? You know who can't see what any of us are wearing?
Oh, no.
Cheer it, Imway. Cheer it, Imway.
That
James,
segue, though.
It's time for Will of the Force, man. Let's do it.
I fear nothing, for all this, as the Force wills it.
All right, John, you said I normally give a little pretense of if these are good or not, a little preamble. I think for the most part, these are pretty straightforward, but there's one question in here that I think is impossible for anybody to answer.
All right.
All right. Let's get started on Will of the Force this week. I need a new catchphrase. It's the Will of the Force. It's back. All right.
Just mocking
the
me
Will
now.
of the Force is open.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone's
That's true.
welcome.
I don't even
Come
know where I
on
show up
in.
anymore.
Okay, you guys want to talk about Bodie Rook? Because I want to talk a little bit about Bodie Rook. I want to ask the question, will Bodie Rook appear as an Imperial pilot in the Cassian Andor series? John, I'm going to jump to you first. We talked a little bit about some of these appearances possibly in the Cassian Andor series, but I want to ask you specifically about Bodie Rook. Is he going to show up as a pilot, a TIE fighter pilot in the Cassian Andor series?
Yep, he will.
He will.
Yep.
Got,
Riz
is that
Ahmed
it?
will
That's
come
it?
back and at least appear in one episode out of the 10 hours of footage about this show about Cassian Andor.
All right, Lacey, do you feel the same, or do you feel like he was too
appear?
disconnected?
I don't think he'll appear. They might mention him, but I don't think so.
All right,
I can't
I'm
see
gonna
that
go
guy
with-
being in it. What's his name? Sorry, I'm blanking.
Riz Ahmed.
Riz Ahmed.
Yeah, he's awesome. I can't see him being in this show, though.
Yeah, real life, real world, I could see him being in the show, but it doesn't. I don't think it makes sense for the characters. This guy had really no relevance to anything. He was just keep his head low, like he wasn't doing anything, and he started to wonder if he was on the right side. And Galen said, "If you put your mind to it, you can change what you want to be." So I think he was having like private conversations with Galen, but I don't really think Galen or Bodie Rook or what's the name of the planet that they went to?
Jeddah?
Edu. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think any of that stuff was really that important. It was totally off the radar. First Cassian had ever heard of it. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to go with no. All right, this next Will of the Force question comes actually from a patron. They sent it in, and actually two, Mello and Danny, both submitted a similar question. So we want to ask, they want to know, Will the world between worlds ever be seen in a Star Wars film? For anybody who doesn't know what this is something that showed up in Rebels. It's some sort of like portal somewhere between that third and fourth dimension kind of thing, where you can access different areas of time and location. It worked really well in the show Rebels, but I personally do not think that it will ever make an appearance in a Star Wars film unless we're talking maybe like 20 years down the line or something, and they're like, I don't know what we're doing anymore. Maybe this would be a cool thing that we could do, but nowhere in the near future. Lacey, do you think that Rebels has set a precedent so strong that soon later, a filmmaker will say, I got to put this in a film?
No, not at all. I don't think it will make any sort of appearance. Not because it's not cool. Like, that's the thing where Ezra walks through and there's all the voices, right? And there's owls and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, no. Nope.
There's owls and stuff. All right, John, do you agree with us?
Even though you hear Kylo Ren's voice, you still don't think they're going to do it?
Nah, dog.
Wow.
No,
Wow.
Dameron.
Yeah, we still have to make that sticker, huh? No, James, I don't think so. I'm with you there. I think that that'd be a little too much for Star Wars. Open up the floodgates, a little too Marvel-y, Stargate-y. It worked out well
confusing.
It worked
Too
out well
sci-fi.
for Ahsoka by bringing her back through. I thought that was interesting, but I think it's perfectly placed where it was in the crumbling temple and goodbye war. World Between Worlds. So no in the films, nada.
All right. So no world between worlds
Right.
in future Star Wars films. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. And we did actually talk a little bit about this Monday as well. But I want to ask, will Star Wars ever destroy the Millennium Falcon? So I think Lacey kind of put her cards on the table on Monday. I didn't really get a chance to talk about it, and I'm in agreement. I don't think that they would destroy the Millennium Falcon, but I could see like maybe in some weird version, like a Spider-Man 2049 kind of thing, that they would have like some sort of new version of the Falcon that's been like, oh, it was destroyed, but we rebuilt it, and it has all these like crazy features or whatever in it. But I think that's like, again, like the 20 years down the line, like we're still making Star Wars films and we're just in a whole new realm. We're not even anywhere near that Galactic Civil War stuff. And this is just like a random reference to, the 20 teens back when they still cared about the Falcon and the Death Star. I don't know. I could be crazy. John, what do you say?
No chance. Yeah. There's no reason to destroy something that doesn't have a carbon organic expiration date. So whereas you have to write off human characters and that sort of thing, like we've been saying with the droids and even the Millennium Falcon itself, if you want to stay tied to the fabric of Star Wars in any way as we move forward, beyond the things that are going to be branching out, you keep these things around so that you can go back to it and keep it familiar. Because if you want to continue anything tied to the originals down the line, you need this stuff. And if you don't have it, then there's no point in trying to stretch out the ties to it. So no chance. The Millennium Falcon is here forever.
Lacey,
Yeah.
you have a POG shooter.
Is that what that
I
is?
think.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think you put like foam discs
Ah,
on the
yeah.
top,
And it
then
turns.
it
It
shoots
still
out
works.
the center.
Or it did. The batteries are dead now.
It'd be funny if it had an
That's what
audio
they said
mod.
about the Falcon before they blew it up.
Right.
Oh, it does
Right?
work.
Oh, there you go.
Sweet,
It'd
right?
be funny if it had an audio
Yeah.
clip and you just hear Beckett go, really hurt my thumbs.
So, okay, the point of me holding this up is like, this is money. And when you destroy things, you lose money.
Ah.
So, one.
But you would be able to create a new Falcon.
Yeah, but you don't want to lose something that ties all the movies together, because right now the only thing that really ties everything together that are consistent are Chewie, R2D2, C3PO, and the Falcon. And think for a second, when The Force Awakens was on the screen and she goes, that ship is garbage, and then she goes, the garbage will do, and it pans to the Falcon, how excited we all were that we saw the Falcon, and how Han Solo was like, we're home. It's like going home when you see the Millennium Falcon. I could never see them getting rid of it. So no, they will absolutely not. Also, this is like the coolest thing ever.
Well, John was talking about carbon death, so let's talk about that for a second. Will
Carbon
Thrawn,
death. Was that your first band, James?
I don't know. Yeah, it might have been. Will Thrawn be killed off in the inevitable Rebels finale follow-up, whenever that may be? So the question here is, we know that Thrawn is somewhere in the galaxy with Ezra. Now, whenever they decide to wrap up that story and tell us what's happening, will Thrawn die in that story? Lacey, I'm jumping right back at you. He's blue. Will he be dead? That didn't make sense.
This is hard to answer only because I don't know what's going to happen with him. It's kind of lost in space, if you will. Space and time. Sure, why not?
Will he turn into Dr. Manhattan?
Yes, he'll die because everybody dies
Watchmen
eventually.
Star Wars crossover. No, but will he die in the next story, or do you think he'll have some sort of thing that happens and then he'll have more stories and other books?
This will be the end of him. Whatever happens with him and Ezra will be his end.
All right, John, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree. I don't see. I mean, they got the 3 books, and they have him in Rebels. That's enough with the Thrawn. Okay, I think Ezra will probably kill him. If not Sabine or Ahsoka, it'll be all 3 of them killing him or something grandiose. They'll give him a grand destruction. But Thrawn will be leaving us in canon very soon.
I say no. And the reason I say no is because Thrawn is more than the Empire. He is only using the Empire for a little bit. I think that his bigger story is with his people and how his people interact with the rest of the galaxy. I think that if he did something with Rebels and he saw maybe, like everything wrapped up and the Empire was destroyed, maybe their story wraps in a different way, and maybe there's some sort of agreement if he said like, hey, I'm not really with the Empire, and Ezra understands that, so he lets him go or something. I don't know. Like I could see Thrawn.
Are you?
No, but I'm saying like in order to keep the character alive and not kill him off, like maybe they can come to some sort of like, hey, we played on 2 different fields, but your team is disestablished now.
What do you think?
So he can go back home or something. Like
Oh, okay. So do you think they're going
to?
They
could tell other stories with Thrawn in different worlds.
Do you think they'll ever do a live action iteration of him then?
I don't see that question written in the show notes.
Ooh.
I'm just kidding. Do I think they'll ever do a live action Thrawn? Again, this is my theme for the podcast, but like maybe in like a 20-year time span when they're doing crazy things. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a bad idea for that character to show up in live action. It's just not now. Like not at all now. Like with like Rian Johnson stuff and episode 9 wrapping like that, they're not even thinking about that stuff. All that stuff is like that sounds like a good idea. Maybe later, maybe in the future.
Yeah. I just, when you brought up about his people and stuff like that, it's like, okay, if they take him back out that way and then explore something completely detached, that makes sense to me. But if you're just going to keep him around just for the sake of, here's the 7th Thrawn book, it's like...
Yeah, I can't see that. How many books are you going to write about this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the 3rd book is coming out and they're bringing back the character of Eli Vanto, and that character could get wrapped up in that book, But also, if he doesn't get wrapped up in that book, or they don't explain like what his whole purpose being with the Chiss people, I don't know if that's not explained, then you got to think that at some point Thrawn's going to go home and they're all going to like do something over there.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't know, that it seems very like vague and kind of loose,
Vague
but
and unconvincing.
I think that you have a really popular character that doesn't he's not necessarily a bad guy. He's a bad guy right now, but I think that they could utilize him to be like a really cool, loose character. If
I
you
feel
will.
like he's
like
always going to
DJ
be a
or
bad guy,
something.
though.
Maybe. Speaking of DJ, maybe. All right. We got the Star Wars Theories Darth Vader fan film that just got a lot of attention. You know, this thing came out and it was blowing up all the box office if YouTube was a box office. But it did spark the debate.
We'd have like $5.
Over 1 million views.
You know,
it did legit.
Dude, it got more. It was like 4 million, I thought, when I saw it, 4 or 5 or something like that.
That's
Am I
still
wrong?
over
I might be
1
wrong.
million.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot. But this did spark the conversation of people saying, man, this is what we really want to see out of Vader. Him being at the height of his power and him going and killing people and destroying and crushing. So I got to ask the question, will a standalone Vader film ever be made by Lucasfilm? Dare I say 20 years down the line, maybe? No, I'm going to jump to you, John, first, because I want to hear you. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I really think they should. I really hope they do. I think it would be fantastic. It would make billions of dollars. It's Vader's the one character that even in the overseas
Multiple 1 billion?
Yeah, 2 billion.
$1 billion.
Even in the overseas market in Asia, like Vader is known. So you'd be able to tackle that market that some of the other movies struggled with. It seems like such a no-brainer to do it because you have that time frame, and I know they keep filling it in with the comics, but to be real, if you want to make the money, you do it. I'm beginning to wonder if they ever will. You got James Earl Jones, it's like 86. Then you're talking about we do need another voice actor, you know, that sort of thing. You could put anybody in the suit and get the mannerisms right. I get that. No offense to David Prowse. So I want to, but will they? It's really racking my brain. I'm just going to say yes, because otherwise I'm going to be very upset. So I will say yes. Eventually they will do the proper Vader movie that I've always been wanting.
All right, Lacey, what do you think? Are we going to get a Darth Vader standalone Star Wars story?
No.
No.
Star Wars social media even has commented on this multiple times, and I know that's like clearly one person answering, but I feel like that's kind of like the trickle-down effect where they answer what information they're given. And they've answered multiple times like, yes, there is a standalone. It's called episode 1 through 3.
Predictable.
Yeah. So I just don't see this happening. Like, I don't know. And that's coming from someone that really liked this fan film. I just
How is 1, 2, and 3 a Darth Vader standalone? Darth Vader's in episode 3 for 3 minutes.
Because it's not Darth Vader, it's Anakin, and they're
I'm saying
like,
Darth Vader.
This is this character's
This is his
story.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's Anakin, sometimes
And I'm sorry,
he's Darth
like
Vader.
all due respect to whoever's doing social media over there, but Bob Iger doesn't give a shit about that. Like if someone comes in, James Cameron's like, got this story for a Darth Vader movie, and Bob Iger's like, yup, Lucasfilm, guess what? You guys are doing a Darth Vader movie now. They're making a Darth Vader movie.
And James Cameron's like, it takes place on this planet. It's kind of like a rainforest. And there's like all these things and they glow in the dark and everyone's blue except for Vader. And then like at night, everything glows. But then like he has to learn to fly on a dragon. And the only way he can learn is to connect via the tail with his own hair that he grows through his helmet.
And they call it Avader.
And this is in the future. Avatar. But this is in the future when they're like, look, we know that Avatar 2 and 3 was a big flop, James Cameron. Are you trying to make... Are you trying to make all the assets and plans you had for 4 and 5 just repurposed?
So Darth Vader wins a ticket onto this ship to head to New York. He just falls into luck, and he's in the 3rd steerage, and he meets this beautiful girl. And then
her name is Padme.
Yeah, then
but
the
she's
ship,
in first class.
Then the ship accidentally hits an asteroid and it starts sinking down to the planet.
They're like, James, James. He goes, okay, I have one more. So there's this kid. He's living his life. Vader shows up. He's from the future. He's like, I'm here from the future to kill you.
Oh,
I like this.
German
then
Vader.
His mom gets involved because they're afraid that the future's in jeopardy because Vader's own hand could take over the planet.
Yes.
Now, see, I thought you were describing Darth Vader from planet Vulcan, Back to the Future reference, but I don't think you were now.
No, Terminator.
Okay.
Terminator.
Oh, okay. Because he shows up to his dad, and then his mom got involved because the dad needed to ask the mom out.
Yeah, the hand.
No, I know. I'm
one. Yeah.
talking.
Skywalker net.
All right.
Skywalker net. That's not bad.
All right. My thoughts on this are, it's possible. And the reason I think it's possible is because
You're the worst.
at some point, someone is going to figure out how to make the villain perspective movie. They've wanted to do it for a very long time.
I thought Maleficent was a good one.
So that's one attempt. The new Joker movie coming out is going to be another attempt. They were going to do the Suicide Squad is another attempt.
Cruella de Vil.
Would you consider Venom? What do you think about that?
I mean, possibly. My thing is, I think that we're in a period right now where they're going, oh, dude, comic book movies are hot, right? We always make it from the hero's perspective, but people love the villains just as much. Can we make a Lex Luthor movie? Can we make a Joker movie? Can we make a, whatever movie? And they just did Thanos. Like, that's Thanos' movie. It might as well be called Thanos Infinity War. And we're going to talk about that here in a second, but I just want to reiterate why I think it's possible that they can make a Vader film is if someone cracks the right way to do a villain is the protagonist, then it's possible. But I think that's a hard thing. I think you have to relate to your character to make it whatever. I think that villains are good for scenes, but not for full-fledged films that you can connect with them.
Unless it's the Dark Knight.
But he's not a villain. Wait, what are you saying?
The
Batman
Joker?
is
the Joker.
I know, but he's the villain.
Yes, but he owned that movie.
Yeah, but pretend that Batman is supposed to be not that important, or he's supposed to be looked at as the character who's ruining everything.
I honestly would just be shocked if Disney skipped over the opportunity to bank on Vader again. But we'll see.
They already did it with Maleficent. She was a villain.
Darth Vader.
No, but I'm saying the villain thing. Disney's already done it.
Oh,
and they're starting to do it too. They're doing it with Cruella de Vil.
I understand, but listen to those two things because I don't think either one of those have cracked the code. Those are like attempts. People love Maleficent.
I got to give Lacey credit for saying that. I never try to say that word.
Maleficent?
Magnificent.
Maleficent.
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 I love the Maleficent 7. All right.
Magnificent 7.
Oh, no.
The Maleficent 7.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do the last question. And this is the question I was alluding to very long ago when I said there's one question in here that I think is impossible to answer. And that is, will Star Wars Episode 9 beat Avengers Endgame in the domestic box office total? Now, this is funny too because I read the question wrong, but it still applies. I took into consideration the opening weekend at the domestic total and the worldwide box office. And
no, not opening weekend, total.
No, I understand. I took it as will it beat it in the box office, period, but you did throw in domestic, so I kind of misread it. But I considered it from all angles. Will it beat it opening weekend? Will it beat it in domestic total? And will it beat it worldwide? But before I get into all my crazy stats, because I don't want to talk too much about it. I will say that I do think it is going to beat episode 9. John, what do you say?
You think?
I think Endgame is going to beat episode 9
domestic.
In all three categories. Okay. Yeah,
I say episode 9 will win domestic. But not worldwide. Endgame will destroy it worldwide because we've seen Star Wars always struggles, especially in the Asian markets. But yeah, domestic, I think just because it's the second or the final Avengers movie, but the second in the Infinity War series. And I don't know. I just have a feeling people kind of see the writing on the wall with that. Whereas Episode 9, they're going to market this thing as the final of this iconic saga. I think that'll put it over the edge and bring people back who may not have necessarily popped in for the other two. So that's why I think Episode 9 will beat it domestically. But as I say, that's all this is here is domestic. Worldwide, definitely Endgame.
Lacey, what do you think?
So I think these movies are going to come down to the fans that aren't the diehard fans, obviously. So I'm thinking like what my husband would go see because he's not a diehard fan of either of those things. And I would say, just from what John said, he'd probably go see Star Wars because it's the last of the series, whereas Avengers, he hasn't seen anything up until this point for Avengers, and he has no interest in that. Whereas Star Wars, they're going to market it as this is the last one. He'll go see it because it's the last one.
But they're going to mark Avengers Infinity War as the conclusion to the Infinity War phenomenon.
The conclusion of this
like
movie series that started 3 years ago. This is the end of a 40-year journey for Star Wars.
So I'm saying it in the sense of he didn't see the first Avengers. And again, I'm using this as an example only because my brain works in examples. He didn't see the first Avengers and he saw Last Jedi. And he saw Force Awakens because it was the first one back. Now he's going to have to finish it off because he's seen the other two and he needs to see the end of the series, where I feel like a lot of casual people have seen Star Wars, whether they like it or not. Whereas Avengers, my parents didn't see Avengers, but they saw Star Wars. Because Star Wars is one of those mainstream things that I think people are more invested in than Avengers.
So
I think Star Wars is going to make more money.
Steamroll through this if we can, just for time's sake.
Sorry, it will. Star Wars will beat Avengers Endgame in domestic box office total. Everyone gets their explanation, and then I get cut off.
No.
It will beat.
I just mean in general.
Go.
Yeah, I think I have always said that the first movie is always going to be a hit, the second movie is going to drop off, and the third one's going to be a little bit better than the second one, but nowhere near as big as the first.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: Infinity War almost beat Force Awakens. Like the first Infinity War almost beat Force Awakens. So it beat it. It beat it pretty heavily opening weekend, 263 million versus 247. It didn't beat it domestically. So that's part of the question here is 936 million versus 750.
I didn't see Avengers when it came out.
But it was like really, really, really close to beating Force Awakens in the worldwide total as well. So it was like 2 million. And that's Force Awakens, and Episode 9 isn't going to come anywhere close to that. So I'm thinking that if Infinity War, now granted, you could call that the first, and then the second movie is going to go down, like in my theory, but also Infinity War, or Endgame, I should say, is the ending to that story as well. So it's kind of the second and the third movie.
Would you say it's the end of the game?
Yeah, with it being the finale or the not the middle movie, but the conclusion of a story, kind of like a Deathly Hallow versus like 1 and then part 2. Like part 2 made more than the first. So I really think in all accounts, Endgame is going to make more than Infinity War, which would put it at like 750 domestic, which I think will be over Last Jedi and Episode 9.
Well, Black Panther made 800 million, right? Or is that all together?
Black Panther made
800 million domestically.
Yeah, I think you're right. No,
yeah,
I think it was like 700.
The box office with 800 million.
Because Infinity did it? Because Infinity War is like 678. I don't know.
So will Episode 9 beat?
Yeah.
Endgame.
I think
in the domestic
in all accounts, it will blow away the opening box office. I wrote down 263 million. It will beat domestic over Last Jedi. I wrote Episode 9 at 700, and I wrote Endgame at 750. And worldwide, I put it at $2,100,000,000. Boom. Which is actually going to beat Force Awakens as well.
So you're saying Episode 9 will not beat Endgame in the domestic box office?
I'm saying it will beat episode 9 in the domestic box office.
You're not
750
I literally
million to
just
700.
said the question. I repeated the exact question. Episode 9 will not beat Endgame in the domestic box office.
You're confusing me.
Episode 9 will not beat Endgame in the domestic box office.
Yes, it will not beat.
3 hours later.
Such a weird double negative. All right, John, let's talk discussion. And I'm going to post all these numbers and stuff.
Post them. Post them up.
It's kind of a call it now type thing.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
All right, guys, we have another discussion to get into here. Could Rey and Kylo Ren face off twice in episode 9? You have Rey and Kylo Ren. They've only faced off once in a lightsaber duel at the end of The Force Awakens with an injured Kylo Ren, where he was the aggressor until Rey connected with the Force and took over the battle, nearly killing Kylo Ren.
I thought he didn't attack. She attacked.
He was the aggressor. He had her up against the edge of the cliff.
Yeah, but he said he just wanted to teach her the Force.
Oh gosh.
I'm just saying, if we're going into facts now.
He took out her best friend. So,
All right.
jeez.
Her best friend of one day. Sure.
He was, all right, let's put it this way. He had the upper hand and he was beating her pretty
Such an
single-handedly
apologist.
until she connected with
Let's
the
say
Force.
stronger.
And the two will likely duel again in episode 9. They will. And it would be highly unlikely the saga ends with Kylo Ren beating Rey. Let's be honest. So it made me think of this. Will the sequel trilogy end with Kylo Ren losing both encounters with Rey? Or is it possible the two could face each other earlier in the film, with Kylo winning that exchange and then the two parting till later? So let's talk about just the possibility. No redemption, Bendemption, Reylo, none of that crap. The possibility of Rey and Kylo Ren
That's what some
facing
people believe.
off more than once in episode 9. Is it possible? Bless you, sir. James is allergic to this conversation.
Yeah.
He just
you started
caught your
talking about
shade.
Reylo, and I was like, oh my gosh, what? No. I liked this, John. This was interesting. I think that if I really had to put it in perspective, I think you could be right. Although I'd be surprised that they would have like a confrontation. I understand your connection was like to Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn. They had that like quick little
And
standoff
someone else
or
brought up
whatever,
another one. I forget who someone said another
yeah.
one.
Like Han Solo shooting at Darth Vader.
No, there was another lightsaber.
And Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, someone brought up. I forget.
But either way, I do think it's interesting. But I would be interested to see how they're going to explain Kylo Ren defeating Rey.
Yeah.
In that scene. Also, don't forget too that Kylo Ren did defeat Rey on Takodana. Not that she was really fighting.
Yeah.
She
but
shot, though.
She was running from him and firing at him, trying to kill him, and he was able to best her, defeated her, and took her away.
Right.
And then later in their confrontation, she was able to come back. But I do think that this idea is interesting. If I had to guess, I don't know. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Lacey, what do you think?
I want to hear what John has to say.
Oh my gosh! Well, John,
my
think
my picture is pretty
out, right?
painted. Yeah, I even tweeted about it, and that's what made me think about it. Only because I think a lot of people's concerns, and rightfully so, is you have your main villain now that they've built up for 3 movies, and he hasn't won a lightsaber duel. You know, that's a little bit of a problem, and I understand that concern. You know, Vader beat Luke in Empire Strikes Back. He beat Obi-Wan in A New Hope. You know, he's established. Where you have Kylo Ren's, you know, Owen whatever in terms of lightsaber duels. Now, James, you make a good point. Rey, he got the best of Rey and Takodana, but that was before she really connected with the Force. And I think people are talking about lightsaber duel like this guy can't go out not having won a lightsaber duel. That's kind of weak sauce. So that's what I thought. Like, well, what if they have an encounter earlier in the movie which sets up the bigger battle later. If this is going to be a 3-hour movie, a long epic final movie, it could be a situation where they get in a battle and then circumstances kind of like the Force Awakens where the planet split and they couldn't finish their fight. Something happens where one of them gets scooped up and taken away, like Rey's on the ropes and the Falcon comes in and they save her before he kills her. You know, something crazy like that, setting up the final battle. At least giving Kylo Ren something to be like, okay, he had her there.
He's come a long way in the year since. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. It was just an idea I thought of. And I was like, you know, I hadn't thought about this before, but I guess it is quite possible that it could happen. So that's what sparked the discussion, I guess. And when I said all that other crap before, I just meant let's try to leave it at what this is, so we don't divert.
See, but I think the problem is that I don't think he's gonna attack her. So it's hard to answer this question.
You think he's gonna like put his blade away, and she's gonna come after him?
Yeah, I think she's gonna attack him because in every movie so far, he's not the one to attack her. He's always defending himself. At the end of Starkiller Base, he stands there while she lights up the saber, and he's just like, "Oh well, I guess I'm gonna do this now." And like he doesn't even go that hard at her.
You think Rey's the bad guy?
I'm not saying I think Rey's the bad guy. I'm saying Rey is a strong warrior and she defends her ground. Therefore, I could see her
But if they're both
him.
defending...
Yeah, I don't see him attacking her, though, and beating her. I could see something happening, like John said, where they get separated, or he's about to do a crazy blow to her, or some type of, like, he could hurt her and he holds off. I can't, with what they've built so far in this story, I can't see that character who looked at her the way he looked at her at the end of The Last Jedi and naturally think, yes, he is now going to attack her and he is going to best her. I could see himself holding, like, she's his weakness at this point. Snoke even said that. So I could see him holding off doing anything because he doesn't want to hurt her. And that has nothing to do with relationships or romantic or whatever. He could just have a connection with her that he sees a camaraderie with her and he doesn't want her. He still believes that she could eventually, be his friend, I guess. I don't know. I'm talking strictly like he has a connection with her. I can't see him trying to hurt her.
Okay, I do think that a lot of this, will they have an earlier fight where Kylo wins, is really based on that premise of, well, they're going to have a second or they're going to have a final fight and Rey is going to win that fight.
Who says they're going to have a fight, though? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, that it's an assumption, but I'm pretty sure it's a pretty assumed that's what the story's been building towards.
Right, but why aren't they fighting together? Why do they have to be fighting each other?
Yeah, I mean...
They fought together in Last Jedi.
Well, okay, so and that's what I'm leading towards is I think John's theory here is based on the assumption that Rey and Kylo are going to fight and that Rey is going to win that fight, because then if that's the case, then the scenario we're left with is Kylo Ren has lost all these other fights. My thing is I do think that there's a possibility that while I still lean on the side of Kylo as the villain, Kylo's the aggressor, Kylo will go after Rey, that there still is a possibility that neither one wins, or there's possibilities where Kylo does kill Rey. We talked about this before, and then she's resurrected or something crazy, right? They can do whatever they want. I know. Well, then that would still mean that Rey beat Kylo Ren. So I wouldn't go with that.
So you're trying to think of possibilities.
Pretend you didn't say that, Lacey.
Okay, so you're trying to think of possibilities where Kylo Ren wins. That's what you're saying.
That's where this exists. So the idea exists.
That's the core of his concept. Is Kylo Ren seems to be losing a lot of fights, and you gotta think that. Let's forget the lore. Let's forget about all of the all of the relationship or whatever. You have the dark side losing to the light side ultimately. And right now the dark side isn't winning any fights. It's just light side, like beating the dark side. And so he's saying, are we going to see a scenario where in episode 9, the dark side, Kylo Ren being the embodiment of that, actually defeats Rey in some way?
I think it's something that J.J. Abrams, as a smart storyteller and a smart filmmaker, has probably come across in his mind like, wait a minute. So I had him, he got whooped. I had him get whooped in The Force Awakens.
To set up Rey, yep.
She could have killed him. It was at that point where he was helpless. And even the novel said a voice said, kill him or whatever. Then Ryan did his thing and he had his encounter with Luke and he looked like a punk there. And now what? She's going to beat him in the end of this movie and he's not going to have any victories. That's going to look pretty bad. So I think he probably has thought of this possibility. How do I do this? Is it just I have Kylo Ren just mow down a bunch of other people throughout the movie and show his power? Or does he need to have a moment where he clearly has an upper hand against his equal? Because now Rey is his equal, whereas opposed to on Takadana, she was just a scavenger with a blaster.
So a couple other things popped into my head. Maybe he will use or show his power in other ways, like Star Killer firing is a way to show the evil power that they hold, or simply something like kill all the village people, or the fact that he stabs through Han Solo.
Kill all the village people.
Well, yeah, not those village people. But you understand what I'm saying is maybe they are going to lean on if he's ever in a lightsaber battle, it's got to be against one of two possibilities, Rey or Luke, right?
Right.
These are the only possibilities. We're not going to have him defeat Luke. And we're not going to have him defeat Rey. So I guess that kind of means we have to showcase his Lacey's going to hurt me, but his villainous in other ways.
And you know what? I have to say, like,
this still comes back to that thing, though. If she's not willing to accept that he's a villain, then who's the antagonist of Star Wars Episode 9?
Yeah, then it puts
the idea of the First Order, the concept of the First Order. It's like without Kylo Ren, the First Order falls, right?
And look,
because you put him on the side of the good people.
I have openly said that I have no idea. Like I have no idea. But all I'm saying
and they
is
could
based
do to bring
on
in a new
his
character.
Own actions, the only people that he's killed himself in this series. I'm not talking like ordering things and you go do this guy. I'm saying like by his own hand is someone that brought up his past, his own father, and the guy that was like his abuser type master guy. So I don't know. It's hard for me to answer this question because like John said, the reason I have a look on my face, by the way, is because John's completely right. He hasn't bested anybody. He's killed the people that have affected him and he's acted out, but he hasn't like bested anyone in a lightsaber duel.
Yeah, anyone that would be considered an equal.
Beat Han Solo.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's tough to answer this question for me because it's hard for me to think of where this character is going to go without it being he teams up with Rey or he goes full bad, and I don't want to accept that because I don't think he will.
And I understand.
So,
I understand.
Maybe this is the moment.
So I'm having problems answering this question because I don't want to argue for something that I don't believe in. But I can understand why, John, you would think this because he has to beat someone at some point. So maybe he does beat her in the beginning of the movie, and then ultimately he comes back at the end and doesn't beat her, or she kills him in the end. There's tons of ways this could go.
Right.
But I agree with you, John. Like, he has to best her at some point because at this point he's fallen asleep on his face. He has fallen on his back in the snow. Like, he's never survived in the sense of like confidence and been the upper hand in any fight with Rey.
And James, I know real quick, you know if he doesn't at any point beat somebody at the end of this trilogy, there's going to be warfare from fans saying, like, you created a punk villain who beat nobody. Like, that was your main villain.
So that's, and guys, we're going to get into this another day, I promise you. But that's one of the driving forces of Bendemption, because the only way to save this character and make him look somewhat badass is have him turn good and then mow down bad guys. And that's why people cheered and were so happy when he did it to Snoke. Like, think about how you felt when he did that to Snoke. You were like, hell yeah.
Yeah, but Palpatine's awesome. And he never turned good and mowed down the bad guys.
I don't think so.
You don't think Palpatine's like a well fleshed out character?
Nope.
Well, we're talking about him next week, so.
So one thing I wanted to say too, and again, this is going to make Lacey cringe, and probably a lot of other
cringing.
people who are
I
like, no,
truly appreciate all these theories because it just makes my argument stronger.
Yeah, and some of these things aren't theories either; they're points of view.
Also, I just love talking about this
which gets in the mix. But what about this possibility too? So we're talking about maybe the idea that Kylo Ren maybe hasn't beat anybody in a lightsaber fight, but he's bested people. Don't forget too that he potentially, if you hear me out, successfully lied to Rey and misled her.
Mm-hmm. They said that he
defeated her in the sense that he wanted to give her to Snoke, and he did what he had to do and outwitted her. He convinced her to come to him, and he offered her up to his master.
Does
and then
he
it
say
only
come to
wasn't
him? I thought she makes that decision. She makes the choice to go. He
Well, she
never
makes
says
the
in the
choice-
movie, come to me.
I know, but she makes the choice based on the fact that they were talking and they were having conversations.
She got a vision
and
that you don't see. That's what she made that decision based on.
She got a vision.
She had a vision that remember, she's in the elevator and she said, I had a vision. It was strong but clear. Like, when the time comes, you won't bow to Snoke. You'll make the right decision. He doesn't tell her to go. She makes that choice on her own.
What's funny is he did do that, but it wasn't the way she saw it. He didn't bow down to Snoke, and he made the right
but that's
decision.
the big story there, is that her and him saw the same thing, but saw it differently because they're two different people with two different sets of goals.
Yeah. Well, James, you could also say he outwitted, or he tried to outwit her by convincing her to go with him, to join him.
I don't think he manipulated her. I honestly think he was saying what he thought and seeing what he thought was right.
No,
I don't think he was
mean,
doing
he
it
asked-
maliciously.
No, I mean, he said, I want to take over the galaxy and start a new order. Join me. And she's like, no, I'm good.
Right. Yes. I'm talking about like the truth about her parents. I think he genuinely was like,
No. Yeah, she's
and
nobody.
I also think he was terrible, and it showed how bad he was at social skills, that he's like, you're nobody. And she was like, what? And he's like, I mean, what? It's great.
You're nothing. You're not a part of the story. You're nothing.
Yeah. And then she's like, wait, what? Imagine doing that to a girl. You're nothing. You're no one. Excuse me? Do you want to come hang out with me sometime?
That's a big part of what people who get upset about them ending up together, they're like, they consider him an abuser. But in terms of...
Okay, that's ridiculous. I'm going to go throw that out there right now. I don't care who's listening to this. That is ridiculous. He is just an idiot. And he had terrible choice of words. I don't think that makes him an abuser. If anything, he was abused by Snoke. Let's not talk about that. That belittles, John. That belittles.
Okay,
people
I'm just
that
saying from my
actually get
perspective, like,
abused.
if I told my wife she was nothing and it means nothing to this story, that is not a good thing.
Yeah, like you're not important to the rest of the world, only to me.
Right.
Like, I think you're worth something.
I think that was a
nobody else
terrible
does.
way to explain what he wanted to say.
And we're not here to argue about that. Like, I'm sure there's 50 different ways to look at it. Again, point of view. But my thing here is I'm trying to just come up with ways that maybe Kylo Ren has bested Rey. You do bring up a good point that, maybe she actually made some of those decisions on her own, but it's also kind of all under the guise of who was manipulating who. Was Snoke manipulating both of them?
Yeah.
It's like it's tricky. So I was just trying to say, like, maybe Kylo was saying, hey, I think you're cute. You should come with me. And then she was like, okay. And she does. And then she, like all these little things that kind of led her to be handed over to Snoke.
Like the meme of,
for
hey,
Kylo Ren
babe,
changing his mind.
I can't.
Yeah. It wasn't until
I'm the
Kylo
hope of
changed
the
his mind
galaxy.
after hearing what Snoke had to say. It was I who did this and stuff. So, I don't know though, John. I think this is a good topic. I think this was interesting to think about.
Honestly, it comes down to the fact that it's the final flick and stuff has to happen in terms of action, lightsaber action. One of the bigger complaints people had about Episode 8 is there wasn't lightsaber on lightsaber duels like we're always accustomed to in a Star Wars movie. Yeah. I think JJ's fully aware of that. I think JJ knows when to hit the right fan service nerve. And I think setting up a final duel between those two in the movie with a one that happens earlier in the film to set up the tension, showing both of them at their peak powers, whether this is a year after The Last Jedi or when, just teasing that, almost like a teaser within the movie, is not that bad of an idea. And it gives the Kylo Ren the opportunity to have bested her, but she gets away because the Resistance helps her get out of there, and it kind of evens the score. Like, it's 1-1 now. Let's see what happens in the final battle type of thing. That's just my perspective on that.
John, I could see that. Where
John.
No, like John.
No, yeah.
Pause, John. Now that you said that, like, I can totally see that happening at the beginning of the movie where they're, I'm throwing this plot line out there right now. Say they're like going somewhere looking for weapons, and the First Order shows up and they start fighting, and then they're both fighting on, I don't know, some type of bridge or something. Who cares? And then
with hand railings.
And with hand railings. And then she escapes. So then he technically wins because she runs. Yes, I could see that. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Here I got a scenario.
All right.
Here's the crawl that saying that Rey and Kylo Ren have been battling in different grounds, different duels over the course of the last year or something like that. And the movie starts with the two of them fighting, and it's the big action opening scene. Right? And then for whatever reason, like you say, they split up, It still could mean all the stuff that Lacey's saying at the end.
Sure.
It could go that direction.
Yeah, I think that's what's interesting about it. Yeah.
Maybe they set up just in text that Kylo Ren on multiple occasions
has been hunting her down.
Has been hunting her down or defeating her or putting her on the run, which is a really good, quick way to say she is running from him because he is more powerful or she's afraid of him.
Yeah, and
or he has the upper hand. Yeah,
I think what's important about that, and I think that I would love that if that happened, James. So I think that's a good idea because it builds up. It says, and they can go back and revisit those battles in comics, which makes sense.
Yeah.
So hear me out. So like they're on Naboo and they're in a hangar, and then these doors open, and Kylo Ren's there, and he lights up a saber, and then Rey's going down a hallway, and all of a sudden these lasers come out, and they create this wall, and then they're separated, and they have to stare at each other, and then every time they open, they have to run to the next section. What do you guys think?
It's poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah, that sounds new and fresh. I don't think they dare do it.
Yeah. So I know people are gonna be mad. I said crap before because Lacey got mad about that. But the reason I said that is because none of that matters when it comes to there potentially being a battle at the beginning of this movie.
It could though,
because they could have a battle at the beginning of the movie. Kylo Ren could best Rey, and it could even the score 1-1 TFA, and then now. Even James's idea, there could be several battles that we haven't seen to this point, whatever. And then at the end of the movie, it could still be however you think it's going to happen. It could be Ben Solo turns to the light side. It could be Ben Solo kills himself. It could be Ben Solo dies as a villain. It doesn't matter. There still could be multiple lightsaber duels between the two in the movie. I think that's the point I'm trying to stress.
Right. And I totally agree with you, John, and you make great points. I think the difference between you and me is that I'm unable to disconnect who this person is as a character so far to what could happen next, given what we know so far. So given what we know so far, I can't see him attacking Rey.
Yeah.
Though I can understand James' perspective of, hey, they've been battling. He's been chasing her across the galaxy. They meet again on this planet where we currently find our friends in trouble. I could see that happening. But it's tough because so far, like you've set up, John, he hasn't won, and he hasn't been the one to attack her.
It's a problem. It's a problem.
I really want to see my man win a lightsaber fight. That'd be great.
There you go.
Who are you talking about?
Kylo Ren.
Matt?
No, Kylo
Ren. Matt's the real world person, okay? And then Kylo Ren's the
other day I was putting my big Kylo Ren that's over there. I was putting him down because we were hanging up all these pictures in my office. And
Did you get that at Home Goods or TJ Maxx?
Home Goods.
Doesn't matter.
They're all on sale, guys. $20 at Home Goods. That's where I got the BB-8. $20. So I put him down and I was like, I'll just put my soft boy right here. And Matt was like, what? I was like, soft boy. He goes, what are you talking about? I was like, this
Oh
soft
my
boy right
God.
here. And I patted his helmet.
He doesn't even know, John.
Why do I have to
doesn't
deal
even
with this
know.
every week and her own husband doesn't even know? Come on!
He was just like, he looked at me and he was just like, you got a problem. And then he just left with his power tool. He's like, rah, rah.
Did you even explain to him how you spell it too, which is like half the problem to me?
Well, so the funny thing is Matt and I say things like to our cats, we'll be like, chubby boy.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So like we say stuff like that. So he thinks that's a joke in comparison to that, but like he has no idea.
It's not a joke.
It's not a joke.
It's a
Well,
real.
all right,
not
guys.
a
So, final thoughts on this discussion. Do you think it's possible, and what are your overall thoughts on the possibility of more than one saber battle between Kylo Ren and Rey in Episode 9?
Given the unchangeable fiction that Rey definitely defeats Kylo Ren in a final battle, I do think it is possible that they could have a confrontation at the beginning or middle of the movie where Kylo has the upper hand. All right, see you later.
I honestly
next
think,
week on the Resistance broadcast.
I honestly
See you around, kids.
John's what is he? Oh, wait.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh. What are you guys doing? They're about to have a lightsaber battle right here. Oh my god. They're both red. Sith versus Sith.
Where's the button? Oh. It's on.
It actually looks kind of cool in the camera. It actually looks like a blade.
Yeah.
I want to be honest though. I want all the lightsaber battles in the next movie. Like I want like 7 lightsaber battles. Like give me all the lightsaber battles.
This is the Vader one though. But
I haven't gotten enough fill of lightsaber battles in the sequel trilogy.
All right.
I'm not gonna lie.
All right, Gillerin, what's your final thoughts? James, I love James's whack lightsaber.
So the best thing is when it's celebration
it has a hole
when,
for like
when John and I
D-sized
show up with like
batteries.
the legit lightsabers, and James is gonna be like, "I'm here, guys."
Yep.
So, ooh, I just hit something. My final thoughts are: I think this is definitely possible. I think that they're gonna have more than one fight. Absolutely. I'm not gonna get into driving forces behind those fights and character development, but yeah, possibility of having more than one fight. Yes. Will they face off? Yes. Will Kylo Ren win one? Yes.
Okay, so we're on the same page. It's funny, and that's the beauty of it, because Lacey and I couldn't be on opposite
But
ends.
he's
of the,
defensive.
we couldn't be on.
He's not going to come at her.
Yeah, Lacey and I couldn't be on the opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of what we think the finality of this character is and what he is and all that stuff. But
He's a soft boy.
We can both agree on this type of thing, which is the point here. We're not here to battle any of those other things. But
We also respect each other's opinions. I think
Exactly,
I want to make
yeah.
that clear to anybody listening and or watching.
yeah, even
We disagree all the time, but that doesn't mean I don't respect their opinions, because
Right.
John and James both make decisions and opinions and theories based on fact. So it's not like they're coming out of nowhere being like, well, then this thing comes and this person's coming over here. And then, oh my God, I'm going to
couldn't
make a
have said it better.
YouTube video about it because none of it makes sense.
So
There's a
the way
trailer.
I interpret him, because through his eyes in that final scene when he looks up, the way I understand it
eyes.
in my head,
Those soft boy puppy dog eyes.
not what's really there
That
in
is a
dialogue,
fact. Look
but
at that shot again. Don't tell me he doesn't look sad.
So my
All right.
my final thoughts here, I agree with you guys. So when I first thought of the prospect of this, I was like, that sounds like it could possibly happen. Let's see what these guys think. I think it will happen. I think it'll be early in the movie. I don't know, like James' idea, I like the idea of it being the first. James always yawns and he just gets bored with me. Like, it's just whatever. But I'm gonna keep talking. So here we go. I think it could be at the beginning of the movie. I think it'll be during a big battle where you see the other Resistance people involved, and they're at maybe the center of it. And Rey gets herself into some trouble, and Kylo Ren's about to go for the strike, and they bail her out, and she gets out of there. And it builds up a final battle between the two, the deciding final third round, if you will.
Well, according to screenwriting, usually in action films, it's about every 17 minutes.
Yep.
There should be some type of action-y
Need some action. But yeah,
That's 17 lightsaber fights.
Now, I want to hear what you guys think about this after having heard this discussion, because we have your thoughts now before the discussion, but we want to hear what you guys say in the comments. Comment with what you think. Do you think there will be more than one battle between the two? Does it make sense to you? What type of situation do you see happening in episode 9? Whether that be on Twitter at RBATSWNN or in the comments on the YouTube video right now, right there. Comments, in addition to obviously saying James is a banana, as always.
You can call me. My phone number is...
You could call Lacey at...
No, don't.
Or on... You can even comment on SoundCloud and all that stuff. I'm sure, anywhere. Just hit us up and let us know what you guys think. But right now, what we are going to do is send it over to Lacey for Resistance Transmissions to hear what your guys' first initial thoughts about this idea is before listening to this conversation. So, Lacey, fire them up.
I feel like everybody's going to have much better opinions than me.
And me, yeah, probably.
We probably should have started with these and then gone into those.
And then been like, oh, that's a good point.
That's a good point. This person's theory is now my theory.
We erased their name and just put our handles.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Okay, guys, it's time for Resistance Transmissions. So second one of 2019. We asked you, Rey and Kylo Ren are going to have an epic lightsaber battle in episode 9. But could you see them facing off more than once in the film? The first one comes from John Reese at John S. Reese. And he said, they most definitely will face off more than once. The lightsaber battle happens early. The climax is a best of 3 match in Crossfire.
Oh, very good.
Remember I said that Kylo Ren and Rey were going to play Crossfire on Mustafar?
Yes.
So good.
I remember you said that they'll get caught up in the
Crossfire. All right, next is Cooper Hood at Movie Cooper. And he says, I hope so. I'd like to see a first act fight that Kylo wins, parenthesis, this is all in caps, by the way. He's never won a lightsaber battle fight. And then, I love when I do like caps, I sound like a Muppet. And then a final
Apparently
rematch
I sound like a Muppet.
And then a final rematch at the end where Rey prevails once and for all. What do you mean by prevails, Cooper? What?
There's gonna be another murder.
There's been a murder. That's an office joke. Mike Sellers at Puke32 Sellers.
Isn't it Puck?
But 3 in Leet speak is an E. Puke Sellers.
Oh, okay.
Mike says, I think there will be multiple, but the first one will be brief and interrupted somehow. Agreed. And then there will be an epic one near the end. I agree with that.
I dig it.
Next up is Scott J-Row at the Scott J-Row, who is someone that is important to us because he's a patron. He's
Scott,
also just a really
buddy?
cool person.
And one of 2 people in the Resistance Transmissions Hall of Fame.
Yes. So Scotty says, I have a feeling the movie will contain 3 lightsaber duels. So this is a popular answer. Small duel at the beginning, battle sparring at a large sequence, and then a huge duel where Kylo ends it all. Seppuku style. Aww. For those of you that don't know, that's something where you like cut across your insides. It's like a Japanese. It's
the Japanese suicide for honor.
That is terrible.
Oh, the Eli Hyder art of Kylo Ren.
Scotty, you are
That's canon,
offensive.
Right?
That's canon.
Yeah.
How dare you say this to me on this episode? Next is Adam Green, also a patron. Thanks, Adam.
I love this guy's handle.
Velcro face.
It's like tape face.
Adam, that's awesome.
Adam says, I think they'll just have the one fight, but there'll be a lot of moments leading up to it that will keep building the anticipation for it. Like force timing, Adam? Is that what you mean? Okay.
Like Godzilla?
The
like
final countdown. Alicia De Artola at Penguin of Troy. Oh, I like that. Said, it would be great to set the stage with a short interrupted battle at the start. I'd almost be surprised if they don't share screen time early. I agree.
Okay.
They're going to be in there
like James's
early.
idea. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Next.
just in general, that was all of our ideas, right? They're going to have some sort of interrupted battle maybe at the beginning.
Right. Next is Haley Meyer at Shapely Buns.
Another
Shapely
good
_
handle.
Buns. Great handle.
Hey, Haley.
She is also a patron. Thank you so much, Haley. She says, I can see JJ giving Rey and Kylo a quick skirmish. Ooh, good word. To open the film and then a proper duel to end the story, similar to Obi-Wan versus Grievous in Return of the Sith. That's a great answer.
Revenge.
Return of the Sith.
Sorry. Revenge of the Sith. Sorry.
It's good to have knowledgeable Star Wars podcasters.
You know what?
on
Give
the
me a
show.
break. I love Return of the Jedi. So sorry.
I'm just kidding. I miss
My
stuff
bad.
all the time.
Attack of the Bones.
Next is Helio Carrasco. Haven't heard from this guy in a while. Helio, where you been, bro?
Yeah, man.
At silent_H. The silent has a 3. He says, I think we will see just one fight between the two. We saw Rey practically kill the guy in The Force Awakens. I know, isn't it sad? So another close call fight would be pointless. Rey is going to be a powerhouse mowing down every Knight of Ren to get to Kylo for one final showdown where Kylo is then killed by Rey. No.
Now you don't want him to come back.
I reject this
You're like,
answer.
get out of here,
I
Helio.
reject this answer. All right. So then we have Edmund Zippo at Edmund Zippo.
All right, so Edmund is always like the first person to comment on our YouTube videos.
Way to
and
go,
it's
Edmund.
Awesome. So how you doing, Edmund? Thank you.
Awesome.
Way to get your lighter.
Yeah, he got his lighter slash handle. That's what's up. Okay. Last but not least, he says, I've been thinking that they'll face each other twice. First near the beginning of the film, and then, of course, towards the end, the duel to end all duels. The duel for the fate of the galaxy. Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun. Dun, 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 dun,
I wonder why this one was picked last.
dun, 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 dun. All right, cool. Guys, thank you so much for your answers. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us at RBATSWNN on Twitter. Every week, John puts up a crazy, wacky... Guys?
Situation.
Situation.
Punch
I
it.
guess they're not always crazy and wacky, but
Yeah.
Whatever. He tries his best.
she's like, shut up.
And you guys' best creative answers win. So, the point of these is for you guys to have fun. It's for us to have fun at the end of the show after we've yelled at each other, kind of. As John continually tells me that Kylo Ren's going to die for the next year. Can't wait for this year to be over. Oh, it's just beginning. Yeah, so if you want to be on the show, hit us up. You can also check out people's answers with hashtag Resistance Transmissions. Back to you, John.
Thank you so much, Lacey. And yeah, just a reminder, folks, sometimes we do get into these Star Wars warsy debates and battles and stuff, and we spar back and forth, but we respect each other, and it's all in a good time because it's Star Wars and it's fake. But guys, well, you didn't know? Oh, God. That changes everything.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. I want to thank first off our patron generals.
What do you mean?
We have Adam Odell, we have Carmelo, and Val. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
Generals.
If you guys are interested in our additional exclusive content, head to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. We post new stuff on there pretty much every day. A lot of stuff every week. I do rumor reviews. Lacey has some stuff she's cooking up. James, I know, is going to be up there with his cool videos. We do polls, giveaways, exclusive giveaways, and we have a monthly Q&A video, which we're going to be doing soon, so look out for that. It starts at $2 a month, guys, so at least go check it out and let us know what you think. Make sure you're subscribed to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. The podcast will always be free twice a week for you guys, so make sure you're there for your alerts so you're up to date on all of our episodes, especially this year, because this year is going to be insane with the amount of stuff we're going to be able to cover for you guys.
It's just starting.
It is just beginning. And make sure you guys do head to StarWarsNewsNet.com. That's our website where you keep up to date with your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. You can find me writing over there and editing, and find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey. James Bainey, sir, where can people reach you when you're not here podding?
Get a hold of me on Twitter at Meyer Trunks. That's where you'll find me.
Oh.
That's where you'll find me.
All right, Lacey, how about you?
People can find me on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin, where I wear my sweet hood. Drop mad beats.
Mad beats indeed. Guys, 1 down, 2 to go. Lacey's prediction for an episode 9 title has come and gone, but there 2 remain, and it's me and James.
Wait,
James, your prediction of when the title would be revealed? Bye-bye.
I can't make another prediction.
Oh, you can, sure. But I'm saying our initial prediction dates are still out there.
I'm
Yeah.
waiting for a drop door to come underneath me, and then I'm voted on the island.
Off the island. No, but our initial predictions, yours came and went. Fair? You ate sugar, right?
I think that's fair. The new thing everyone's saying is Super Bowl.
And that'll be wrong too. But
You think so?
but you have no idea. This is the diary of the Resistance broadcast. James Bainey said January 15th, right? So that would be
I don't think that's right.
oh, okay. I thought he said that
Do your research, John.
because I think he wanted it to be a Tuesday.
17th.
Oh, so a Thursday.
Thursday.
So Thursday, January 17th for James. So that is a week from this Thursday. And I said February 22nd. We will see when it happens. But
You guys don't think they're going to try to release this around some big type of event?
nah,
No.
nope. They want it to.
It both got shot down. Yeah.
They want it to be their own
We got
thing.
it in a tweet last time. It was
It was
just
a
like,
tweet.
oh, here's the
Yeah.
title.
Yeah,
It's called The Force Awakens.
right.
It's called Last Jedi.
Imagine if
No
it
big
was
deal.
like The Force Awakens 2.
The Force Awakened.
Oh, the other Last Jedi.
The Force Awakened. Just. All right, guys. We
Or
will.
it's just Star Wars Awakens the Force.
No, it's Star Wars 3, which like doesn't make any sense. Star Wars Episode 9. 3.
called Star Wars End the Episode, probably.
Yes.
So,
Fire.
guys, enjoy your weekends. We will see you on Monday. We'll be back with another episode covering all the latest news and tackling all that good stuff. So stick with us, and we'll see you soon right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.